Here we go, my friends. Yet again, a great game for the Vancouver Canucks. How awesome is this that we get to see goals, we get to see competitive spirit, we get to see a Canucks team that looks like they have life. And they still lose in regulation. The Vancouver Canucks have lost on game number 7 out of 8 on this extraordinarily long homestand to the Anaheim Ducks, Tuesday, March 24th. The final score of the hockey game was 5-3 in favor of the visiting Ducks, and I am one happy camper, because I have Troy Terry on my fantasy team. Now, obviously fantasy hockey is whatever, but still, this game, 5-3, featured a lot of back and forth between these two high-scoring rivals. For whatever reason, it feels like the Anaheim-Vancouver games always have the most offensive production compared to the rest. Combine this with the fact that the Ducks have been a pretty so-so team this season. I say that fully knowing that they're first overall in the Pacific Division, but holistically, the Ducks have gotten a lot of points in extra time. They're undefeated in shootouts this season. They've gone to the extra 65-plus minute mark a ton this year. And they also play a pretty exciting brand of hockey where they leave it to the last minute most nights. I mean, the amount of last-minute goals in the third period to tie up the game, I think they're number 1 in the NHL by a long shot in terms of that specific metric. They didn't need to do that here tonight, but they did come back, because the first goal of this game was scored by none other than Jake DeBrusk, 5 minutes in on the power play. Vancouver with this new unit, I think it's pretty good. You know, I like what they're doing. I like the confidence that they're playing with. Pettersson goes over to Hronek, back over to Petey, who then tosses it towards the front of the goal for DeBrusk, who doesn't waste any time. Instead of actually passing it out in front, he just cuts across in front of the goalie and sweeps it towards the back post. It's a pretty nice play, kind of deceptive, and it makes the game 1-0 just 5 minutes in. Second period comes, though, and this is where the Ducks start to get on the board. You have Alex Killorn just 5 minutes into the second, who ends up roofing a backhand opportunity. He comes in towards the goal and goes upstairs on Lankinen. Tie game, 1-1, but only for about 2 minutes, because Mikael Granlund ends up making it 2-1 at the 7-minute mark of the second here. It's Leo Carlsson who tosses the puck towards the goal, and the rebound, for whatever reason, Kevin Lankinen wasn't able to grab it. It's because the puck popped into the air and landed in the blue paint. Mikael Granlund rushes the net and ends up batting it in. It's a really nice hand-eye coordination play. Mikael Granlund from Leo Carlsson and John Carlson, not to mention the fact that there was a Linus Carlson and 3 Petterssons in this game. Definitely a fact that we cannot ignore. It was the Sun Bowl, I guess you could say. Leo Carlsson, John Carlson, Linus Carlson, Marcus Pettersson, Elias Pettersson. Somebody pray for John Shorthouse tonight, baby. But it doesn't stay 2-1 for long, because just about 5 minutes later, on the power play again, it's Vancouver who snaps home his 17th of the season. Elias Pettersson goes back over to Hronek, who then opens up the middle pass. He goes over to Boeser on the far back side, and he fires it in past Dostal. Really nice puck movement going on over here. Hronek and Pettersson are just feasting on teams on the man advantage as of late. You'll love to see it for these guys that have had a pretty difficult year point production-wise. Now, sure, we would want to see more Pettersson goals, but 2 assists is nothing to scoff at either. In the third period, Mikael Granlund once again striked 1 minute into the frame on the man advantage. He ends up getting a rebound out in the hash marks area of the slot. Then he fires it by Kevin Lankinen. It's 3-2 Anaheim. But then once again, the Canucks, they tie it quickly. Just 1 minute after the Mikael Granlund opening goal of the third, it is Drew O'Connor who gets his career-high 17th goal on the season on a nice 2-on-1 rush with Evander Kane. Kane takes the shot, the rebound pops out, and O'Connor is right there to bury that rebound. It is a 3-3 tie, and the Vancouver Canucks have a third period left, essentially, to play. Now, unfortunately, you know what happens next. Mason McTavish ended up scoring just a minute later, and then Troy Terry got the empty net. Terry, by the way, he had 2 cracks at the empty net. The first time, it was blocked point blank by Elias Pettersson, who made a brilliant blocker save. But then on the second rush, with 5 seconds left, Chris Kreider finds Terry, and he buries it into the open cage. I was kind of saying, please, Terry, get points. I am in the semifinals matchup of my ESPN league, and I need Terry to get me some goals and support over here. So, I'm a very happy camper, the fact that he was able to get that done. With that said, though, Vancouver, they drop yet another one in regulation, but at the very least, fans in the building were greeted with some goals. And some points, if you take a look at it. Elias Pettersson, for example, we go back over to Tuesday against the Florida Panthers. Pettersson has had 2 multi-point games in his last 4 games. That's not bad. 5 points in 4 games for EP40. Not to mention Filip Hronek, who has gone out there and started scoring the lights out too. He's getting involved in almost everything that's going in for the Canucks. He's all the way up there at 39 points on the season. Yes, it is not a career high, but he actually is on pace to matching roughly his season high back in 23-24. There's a lot to like out of Filip Hronek. The leadership, the point production, the willingness to just go out there and make plays, especially on the power play. Young guys in Vancouver, we saw some swagger and pizzazz out of Zeev Buium, Tom Willander. Sure, none of these guys are perfect. These guys are not fully polished and ready to go yet. And while it's true, I don't think Zeev Buium is necessarily playing like an $8 or a $9 million defenseman right now. As we mentioned earlier on in today's show, it seems like the conversation on Buium could lend itself to potentially opening up the possibility of a pretty nice extension in that territory this summer. Especially if the Vancouver Canucks want to take advantage of this being the last time you can give out 8-year deals to your athletes. So with all that said, this was a pretty nice night in Vancouver for the Ducks, for the Canucks. Vancouver now sits there with 12 games to go. They are still at the bottom of the NHL, and they've lost 3 in a row in regulation. At the very least, they're scoring some goals, right? It's kind of entertaining. Hopefully, I'll say this as well, hopefully multiple Vancouver Canucks can reach 20 goals. With Brock Boeser and Drew O'Connor scoring their 17th goals of the season today, they have now officially tied Kiefer Sherwood for most goals on the team. Now, the only difference is Sherwood did it in like 20 fewer games. He still led the team in goals this entire time, despite the fact that he had been traded to San Jose this entire time. But now, Boeser and O'Connor are in a pretty nice race to lead the team in overall goal scoring. We'll see who ends up walking away with the numbers over there. But with all that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Canucks? How do you feel about the Ducks? 5-3 victory for Anaheim in Rogers Arena. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.